back to another episode of What's the Vibe with Katie and Amy. I like to kick things off without Amy being ready, because she does that to me on occasion.
Okay.
But look, she's ready to go, ready to rumble. So, welcome back to another week. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. We're on to episode 2 of season 3. I'll have you know, I think it was last season or the season before. There was one day when you said, season 6 on Hulu, coming now.
I'm sorry. You know what I'm doing?
You're trying to say everything I say at the same exact time.
Did you ever watch the final rose on The Golden Bachelor?
No.
The whole time Yes, the whole time his fiance was talking, he was mouthing the words.
Oh God, how do you do that? I think that would be so hard. You'd have to be so conscious of how could you even pay attention to what the other person is saying? I'm going to try to do it.
So I saw some of the comments on TikTok said people with hearing problems do that to help them concentrate.
Stop doing it. See, it's so confusing. But I do feel like I'm listening a little closer to what you're saying.
Could you imagine your spouse doing that all the time?
I'm going to start doing it at work just to see if it gets on your nerves.
It's already on my nerves and I started it.
Should have never did that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. It's fine.
This is great for those listeners on Spotify. Done. Oh my God.
Okay, now that we got that out of the way. Please.
Okay, I'll behave.
Enlighten us all and just tell us, what's the vibe?
Oh my gosh, Cody.
I'm so excited.
I'm about to go on a tangent.
Okay.
Have a lot of opinions.
Yes, as expected.
Yes, not new. But I'm going to briefly catch you up or refresh anybody that's not heard of Natalia Grace Barnett. What we have known and what we now know because of the HBO special.
Yes.
So, and just anybody that's listening or happens to stumble upon this, we live in Lafayette, Indiana.
Yes, we do.
We're sitting right in Lafayette, Indiana right now. So, Natalia Grace Barnett was, I guess, debatable when she was born, but she was definitely born on September 4th.
Okay.
Is a Ukraine-born American with dwarfism who in 2010 this is right from Wikipedia, was adopted by an American family but abandoned by them 2 years later.
Okay.
So the Barnetts, Michael and Christine Barnett, adopted Natalia. They lived in the Indianapolis area.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yes. Oh, you didn't know that?
At the time of adoption?
At the time of adoption.
I did not.
And they bring little Natalia home, and pretty much right away, there's issues. But the issue is, after they get back from the adoption, which was in Florida, because they went to Disneyland or Disney World or whatever is up there.
Disney World, thank you.
They get her back home. They're giving her a bath, and oh my goodness, she's supposed to be 6 years old, and she has pubic hair.
That was their first red flag?
That was their first concern.
Oh. Concern is a better word to say than red flag. That's fair.
That was their first concern. But, putting myself in that position, if I had just adopted a child, for one, is uniquely abled. She's disabled,
right.
But I don't like to say that. I mean, it sounds negative.
Uniquely abled. That's a good way to put it.
She's uniquely abled. And not only that, but she has dwarfism. I don't have any biological children with dwarfism. So I might be thinking maybe this is related to that.
Right, yes.
Or maybe there's another thing that's like accelerated puberty or something. My first thought isn't going to be this as an adult.
No, I'd be like, noted. maybe monitor and go to the doctor.
Yeah, go to the doctor.
Yeah, but nothing. I don't think I would take it as far as to be worried or concerned or think that this child who with legal paperwork I was just given.
Yeah.
And you have to pay for adoptions is an adult.
Yeah. But that's right where their mind goes, supposedly. Isn't that so weird?
Yes. Yes, that is very strange.
At least in the back of their minds. Okay, so they get her back to the Indianapolis area. She makes friends with the little neighbor girl.
Okay.
Next door. And she's, around the same age. They're best friends. They're like inseparable. Christine gets the neighbor lady alone and says, hey, Natalia's been putting tacks on the stairs. She's hiding knives. She's threatening to kill us. I don't think you should let your daughter play with her anymore.
Can you remind me, because I can't remember, how old was Natalia allegedly when they adopted her?
4.
Okay.
But she was probably more like 6. And that could be a misunderstanding in the paperwork. That could be a misunderstanding because it's hard to judge a 4-year-old from a 6-year-old sometimes, especially if they have dwarfism.
Right. Yeah, I think that would make it extra complicated.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if she was older, like a 6-year-old or a 3. I can think of, you have grandchildren getting things out that they're not supposed to be playing with, or like doing things like, okay, that's annoying, but you're a parent, so you have to teach them not to do those things. Or was she doing it as an adult, hiding as a child, evilly?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I was just curious. I couldn't remember.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was hard on Natalia. That was her friend. And now all of a sudden her friend's not allowed to play with her anymore. Christine would take the children, because she had 3 boys of her own.
Okay.
When she adopted Natalia. And would take the boys across the street to the little playground area they had in their neighborhood and put Natalia in the stroller and cover the lid.
Why? Just
to let the other kids play. She had it out for Natalia. She
couldn't soak up the sunshine even?
No. There are videos, which I'm just like, who videos this? Of Natalia being in trouble. And Katie, she has mobility issues. She has to wear these special shoes. I don't know if you've seen the shoes on news clips or in pictures, but they're very thick-soled and they're kind of high. So I don't know if they're maybe protecting her ankles and then maybe evening out her walk. I'm not sure about them, but they're very expensive. And so anyway, she would be in trouble and she'd make her stand against the wall for hours. First of all, that's going to be hard on an adult if she is an adult.
On any person that's not uniquely abled.
Yeah. And the camera, she'd look over at the camera. And I mean, it looks like a child in trouble, being scolded, being beat down. I mean, even if she were not a child, even if she weren't a 6-year-old, she is vulnerable to this abuse. It just is mind-boggling.
You saying, why would somebody record that? That's a good. Why would you record punishing your child?
I don't know.
What would the reasoning be behind it? Because I cannot think of a singular reason as to why that would come in handy.
I can't either. The more I watch this special on HBO, the more I want people arrested.
Really?
I want people arrested, and I'll tell you more here.
Okay.
Both Michael and Natalia I've seen their interviews on the show. First, kind of season 1 was mostly Michael talking, and season 2 was mostly Natalia.
Okay.
But they have both said, in separate and together, that Christine was very physically abusive to Natalia. I'm not talking like a spanking on your child. She would get her down and just beat her, just punch her. Yeah. Tell me who you really are. Tell me how old you really are. So I don't know what was going on in her head, but did you know that? Because I'm watching this and I'm like, how did they have all this money that they have? Because Michael himself is a very interesting character.
Is he?
Oh my gosh, the way he speaks, Katie. If I met him on the street, I wouldn't be able to get away fast enough.
Really?
He's very dramatic and
Oh.
very, oh my goodness. And then she threw her on the ground. He's jumping up during an interview with HBO and getting down on the ground and just punching the floor to like reenact this.
What?
Oh, he is too much.
Okay.
But their child, Jacob, which is their oldest child, he has Asperger's or autism. That is how Michael worded it. And Christine homeschooled him to a certain extent, and he really is a genius.
Okay.
And she wrote a book about it called The Spark, and got $600,000 for this book. Yeah,
okay.
So that's kind of how they're wealthy. And he was a manager at like a T-Mobile or a Verizon.
I didn't know that.
He was a retail manager. So they had her living at home for a couple of years, kind of under this constant abuse. She went to school for a while, and they put her in the first grade, and she would have to take her wheelchair to school and stuff. And then Christine told Michael, every day I'm getting phone calls that Natalia's hurting the other children. She is ramming her wheelchair into them. She's a menace at the school. I'm just going to have to pull her out and homeschool her.
Can you imagine a child? Can you imagine, I mean, not quite to Gypsy Rose, but same thing, a child in a wheelchair being a menace to other children? No, that's not, I mean, I went to public school, you went to public school, that's not how my school was. You rallied around those that needed your help.
Well, I really believe it even less because the FBI called her teacher.
Oh, that's one way to solve that.
And there's an interview that's like a recorded interview on this HBO special, and they said, when you had Natalia as a student, did you find her more advanced than the other students? And the teacher says, no, she was a first grader. I treated her like a first grader. She acted like a first grader. She was learning as a first grader. Oh, okay. Well, did she hurt the other students by hitting them with her wheelchair? Was she any behavior problems in your class? No, she was a delight. We loved her.
That's weird.
Isn't that weird?
That's
so
weird.
Now we've already caught Christine in a lie.
Right.
You can't convince me otherwise. Teachers don't lie. I'm sorry.
I don't know about that, but your teacher may not lie.
I raised a teacher. She doesn't lie.
That's fair. But I do think some teachers lie.
Yeah.
There's some evil people out there.
Yeah, true. So maybe this will help convince you.
Okay.
So then they talk to the principal. Same school, the principal of the teacher that was Natalia's teacher.
Yeah.
Any reports of problems with Natalia's behavior? Nope, we adored her.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And yeah, I mean, it sounds like she was a good kid.
Yeah.
And wasn't in trouble.
Yeah. Thank you. I knew I could get you on board.
You got me.
But they still just. Then, so I don't know whether this is true or not. I didn't hear Natalia address it, but I could have missed it. But Christine finds like bloody socks in the house.
Okay.
And when she confronts Natalia, she kind of figures out what it is. But she takes it to Natalia. What's this? Where did this come from?
Right.
Well, Natalia is having a period and she's hiding it.
Okay.
Again.
Could be related to anything else that's going on with her.
I had a cousin that developed super early.
I was gonna say that too.
Yeah, I don't know what age or anything, but people are different.
Right.
All of our bodies are different.
Especially, I don't remember where I read or saw this, but it was definitely within the past 6 months. Children today versus children in the 90s. Are going into puberty much, much earlier.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be something as simple as that.
Honestly. And it obviously was, because we're going to get to that.
Okay.
So they've had her for 2 years. In 2012, the Barnetts successfully petitioned the Marion County Court to change Natalia's Ukrainian birth records to indicate a 1989 birth date, which legally changed her age from 8 to 22. Katie, they got her an ID. Okay, what if she would have got her driver's license?
Right.
We were going to have an 8-year-old running around driving?
What? I wonder what, and I don't know if you even know this, but what documents would you need to say, Judge, I want her birthday to be June 1st, 1901.
Yeah.
Like, what judge is just like, okay, done.
So I watch the documentary now, but they did have a doctor that signed off on it, which just pisses me off. I'm sorry, but this is a huge deal to change a child's birth certificate from 8 years old to 22 years old. They should have had 5 doctors sign off on it and 5 dentists.
Yeah, that is true. To make it such a significant age difference over 10 years,
yes,
then yes, I would agree that there needs to be a significant amount of research or exams.
Katie, she was still losing baby teeth when they got her. We work in dentistry.
Right.
We understand that a baby tooth comes out, some come out at 6, some come out at 8, some come out at 12, some come in at 12.
Right.
They could have had x-rays done on her. Obviously, because that's what they eventually have done.
Yeah.
And this genetic testing. And they found, when they did this genetic testing, they found her mother, her biological mother.
Okay.
And her name is Anna Gaba. And so she said when she was born, had she have been born in 1989, like they said, Anna would have had to have been 10 years old when she gave birth.
Oh, okay.
And she was not 10 years old when she gave birth. So it's been proven time and time again that this is a child.
Okay.
So, that's why I said you can't convince me this isn't a child. But now it's official that she is a child. But when they brought Michael Barnett to the Tippecanoe County Courthouse.
Yes.
Here in Lafayette, where we live.
Yes, I remember seeing that on the local news, on the Facebook. Yes.
They weren't allowed to address at all the age change.
Why?
Instead of neglect of a dependent, it was like neglect of a disabled person.
No matter what the age is.
Yeah.
They can't do anything at all?
I hope so. I hope this isn't over yet. And my hope is she gets her age legally changed back to what it's supposed to be. And then maybe we can retry this. Or why hasn't Christine faced anything yet? I assume we'll get to that. But
Christine, that's outside of Natalia, obviously, because she is the story.
Right.
But Christine is the next person that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Because it sounds to me like there's something seriously wrong with her.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. She was posting updates on her Facebook yesterday, kind of addressing everything.
Really?
So yeah, we'll have to maybe include those at the end.
Okay. I will see what I can find.
So, after they've had her age legally changed, they decide she's out of here. She is done. We're going to get her own apartment. So they move her to a Westville apartment to start off with. She doesn't start out here in
Really?
Lafayette.
Okay, I didn't know that either.
Yeah. She had an apartment in Westville for 1 year by herself. She's 8 years old.
How did they expect her to get groceries?
They would bring them.
Okay.
They would bring them.
Because she's disabled or because she's a child? You know what I mean? Like, why not just say, take her, state, give her back?
Yeah.
I don't know if it works like that, but why can't you surrender a grown child just like you can surrender a baby?
Well, Michael said in the documentary there was a 6-month time period from when they physically got Natalia until the adoption was finalized. And she was still legally her former adoptive parent's child.
She had another set of adoptive parents?
Yes.
Well, I hope you're going to tell me a little bit.
I can.
A little bit, because I didn't
There's
know
not
that.
much to tell. I'll tell you what I can. But in that 6-month time period, Michael said, I said to Christine, hey, we can just I can see you guys are not. This is not cohesive. This isn't peaceful. You've got a weird feeling that she's an adult trying to kill us. Let's just give her back. And he said, but I don't trust everything this man says either.
Yeah, that's fair.
He said that she said, I'm Christine Barnett, a famous author. I cannot be known for just giving away my daughter or giving my daughter back.
So instead, you're going to be known for changing her name, accusing her of being an adult and abusing her?
Yeah.
Yes! Well, you got it then, if that's what you want.
That's a much better book.
Yeah, you're Christine Bennett, so
Barnett.
Barnett.
I don't even care what your name is, Christine Bennett.
It's all whatever you want, I guess.
So, yeah, Natalia was originally adopted from the Ukraine by another family, the Chacones, but very little is known about them or why they decided to kind of part ways with her.
And I would probably be hard because if you said she was 4,
6,
when she was adopted by the Barnetts, she may not even remember that much from. But
she may have been 6. I'm sorry.
That's 6 years that could say this happened. Yeah, she is an evil adult.
Right.
But why would they then put her up for it? That's what I want to know.
I think, and this is purely speculation, is maybe she was getting too expensive.
Okay.
Her disabilities were going to require a lifetime of like corrective surgeries.
Sure.
Isn't
that something you would think about before you sign the adoption papers?
Yes.
I'm sorry, but
no, I just think about how much I love my little grandkids. I couldn't.
Right.
I'd be like, well, bankruptcy, here we come.
Yeah.
Like, I just wouldn't ever.
You're already investing all that money to adopt this child.
And it's been said in the documentary, we don't even know the extent of Natalia's abuse. Because I want to say she was 2 or 3 before the Chacones adopted her. Oh. And she vaguely remembers some abuse.
Really?
In the orphanage in the Ukraine.
Okay.
And then, moved to this family and then abandoned by them and moved to this family and then they abandoned her. What's that going to do to somebody psychologically? A child.
Exactly.
A child.
It's already hard enough. Well, I would imagine that it's hard enough, or you hear that it's hard to process. Like once you're old enough, you realize that you're adopted, or it's already hard enough to know that your birth parents didn't want you, is what I imagine that it would feel like, even if it was like, I'm doing this to give you a better life sort of deal.
But yeah, that's not even the story she has.
Yeah, like
when she was born, the doctor was like, okay, there's a lot wrong here. Aww. It's best that you just leave her at the orphanage.
Oh, that's sad.
I know. So, I mean, it's very...
Oh,
we are,
God.
As typically abled people. I have self-esteem issues, and like I'm not good enough, or I'm not,
right.
We all do. And then for her to have all this extra baggage, like I feel for her for sure.
She's gonna be a lot of work. You're better off just.
Oh, and she was diagnosed with reactive attachment disorder because of all of this, and so it was probably hard for her to bond with any of the families, because what's the point? Nobody loves me.
Right.
All right, so let me tell you a little bit about our time in this apartment in Westville.
Okay.
And lots and lots of details in the show, but a really high level overview is everybody was kind of annoyed by her.
Really?
Kids are annoying.
Especially in apartments.
Kids
you
are
can hear
annoying.
Every single noise that every single person's doing.
But, here she is, a child that most children, I don't know, like when I have my grandkids over, they're with us.
Right.
They're like, they're not upstairs doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Like cleaning or,
right.
writing novels or anything. They want to be entertained almost. But she's an 8-year-old living by herself. So the neighbor said, many different takes, but there was like a couple that lived in one house. There was like an older lady that lived in another house or strip, it's kind of like this. And they would come home from work, and God, this would annoy the shit out of me, Katie. If I had a long day at work and pulls up and my annoying ass neighbor is sitting on my porch, I'd be like, what are you doing here? Especially if I think she's a grown woman.
Right.
I'm going to be like, I didn't invite you over.
Yeah, that is true.
So, and they all thought she was who would think there's an 8-year-old living next to you?
By themselves.
Yes.
By themselves. Yes. Agreed.
Insane.
No.
One lady came home from like a shopping trip or being out somewhere. She walks in and Natalia's already in her kitchen in her refrigerator. I told Josiah that. He said, oh, it'd be on. Like, let me come up with somebody's in our fridge. I said, maybe they'd be stocking it. I'd be cool.
I'm just imagining walking in now and he's like, oh, do you need me to make you some mac and cheese or something? Like,
do you think you would react like that?
I mean, I would probably be somewhat annoyed, but like if she's already
here,
might as well feed the poor girl. But now I'm also starting to wonder because, I made the comment about the groceries and this is an 8-year-old. Mm-hmm. You just told me a couple of weekends ago, how old is your grandson? 6? 6. Was at your house and you had to say, you need to go take a bath. You're getting a little stinky.
Right.
Who's telling this little girl to go take a bath?
Oh, you know what? That is a great point. Because the neighbor said she smelled terrible.
Probably because what child wants to take a bath?
Right. Well, not only that, Katie, but you've got a traditional bathtub.
Right.
And you've got a disabled person. Can she even take off her clothes by herself?
That's very true.
Can she get into the bath? So yeah, that was hygiene was an issue too. And I'm not making fun of her. At 8, hygiene was probably an issue for me too.
Right.
I don't remember if I stunk, but who knows?
Sorry if I did.
Yeah, sorry about that. But you know what that lady did when she came in and saw her in her fridge?
What?
She's like, get the hell out of here. She didn't make her mac and cheese cup. No. She said, get out of here. You're not supposed to be here. So basically, all of these instances added up. And when it came time to renew the lease, the property management company said, no, the neighbors are miserable. They don't want to come home from a long day of work and have to entertain Natalia or get her out of the kitchen.
Right. Or give her a bath or, and
she said in the documentary too, boundaries, what is that? Like, an adult knows you don't just sit on your neighbor's porch and wait for him to come home, but a kid doesn't.
No, those are things you have to be taught.
Yes.
And how are you going to get taught when you're just sitting there, you and the person in the mirror looking back at you?
Yeah. So while she's in the Westville apartment, Christine would come randomly. Michael would come randomly and, like I said, bring groceries or whatnot. Christine comes one day and Natalia had gotten up and taken her medicine. And it makes her kind of tired. And it's not like she had a schedule, so she laid back down and went to sleep. When Christine got in the apartment, she made her get up and said, have you taken your medicine? And Natalia said, yes. And she said, I don't believe you. And she gave it to her again. And she said while she was taking it, she looked out the window. And then she looked back at her and she said, you didn't take that. Let me see. And gave it to her again.
Stop. How can a person who is she wants to get rid of Natalia. She wants Natalia out of her house. She wants her gone. Whatever. Mm-hmm. Then now Natalia's out. You're going to trust her enough to live on her own, but not trust her enough to take her medicine and still be that controlling when you come to the house that you don't even want nothing to do with her. So
it's insane.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So the lease won't be renewed. They have to take her home. They have to take her back to their house.
That would be scary.
Oh my
Because
God.
then it's you are the reason that we can't re-sign the lease.
Yeah. Well, imagine what's really sad is, like you said, it should be scary, right? Because it's so abusive, and that's what we would think it would be. She's freaking happy to go home. She wants to be with her mom and dad.
I bet. And her brothers.
Yeah. She's not there very long, though, and one day, Christine loads her up in the car and says, we're going to Lafayette to look at apartments.
I wonder what made them choose Lafayette.
Oh, that's a great question.
Wow, I'm asking such great questions today.
I have the answer.
Tell me.
When I tell you the answer, I want you to tell me if you're offended.
Okay.
When I heard this, I was like, excuse me, bitch?
Okay.
Michael said, okay, I'm going to preface that Christine said, I'm taking her to Lafayette because it's a white trash town and nobody will care.
Okay. No. I'm not offended, but I feel like I don't know, I feel like it would take more to offend me, but I also don't think Lafayette is a white trash town.
No.
Knowing the towns that surround us, in my mind, I won't say it out loud, but there's a couple I could pick out that I'd say white trash town or rundown town, or this town's full of crime and drug abuse and just all of this. But yeah, we have crime.
Of course.
Yeah, there's drugs, there's bad people, but
white trash town?
I mean, there's Purdue right there.
I know.
We're like one of the top schools in all the states. Yeah. So, no, okay.
I was just like, oh my God, this bitch. It's like you weren't even living that far away.
Right.
And also, there may come a day, Christine, when you've got to face a jury of your peers.
Yes.
And white trash, Lafayette, and I pray my card gets called.
Have you ever been called to be a juror?
No.
No?
So, I'm due.
Oh, I love that.
I'm due. I live in Fountain County now, so I guess you're off the hook, but...
I might be there.
That's right. And I'll be in her ear.
That's right.
She called me white trash.
She's like, say this, say this, say this. No, I'm not going to say that, Amy.
But you know what? It's funny, too, because for all the insults they were throwing at Lafayette, that's what took her down. That's what Lafayette is what got this whole thing.
They're like, we don't want any of this white trash stuff in our neighborhood. So be gone.
You know what's white trash, Christine? Abandoning your 8-year-old in an upstairs apartment where she could reach nothing. She couldn't cook for herself. She couldn't bathe herself. She could barely reach the light switch, you bitch.
I feel like you're taking this very personally.
This was a child.
This was a child, yes, you're right.
I didn't take it personal.
You're just like, Christine.
Comment below, bitch. I dare you.
And then it's just Christine and Amy going off in the comments.
I would stay up late for that.
Oh my
I
gosh.
would stay up late for
I'd be like, on this episode of What's the Vibe, a recap of all the comments on our last episode.
So they pretty much drop her off at this apartment, kept her special shoes and her walker. Now that's just fucking okay. See, this is why I'm mad. You didn't even set her up for success,
right?
If you really thought this was a 22-year-old disabled woman, okay, I got to get her a ground floor apartment. The showers have got to be handicap accessible. The toilets need to be handicap accessible. The appliances need to be. I mean, there's so much.
Not even that. Just scrap all of that. Get the girl apartment, but let her have her shoes, her equipment that helps her be able-bodied.
Yes. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay. Whew. We don't like that around here. So they do that, and they basically immediately move to Canada.
Okay.
Canada!
Why Canada?
Because, remember Jacob, the one with Asperger's that was very gifted?
Yes.
There was a program there that he was going into, so the whole family needed to move to Canada.
Okay.
So they get to Canada, and that's I'm going to say implosion as a callback to that episode you did for the submersible. The implosion of the Barnett marriage.
Okay.
It's just things are not going good. Christine is just starting to resent Michael. They just don't like each other anymore. And she's saying things, according to Michael, like I said,
Right.
this man is drama.
I mean, what ex is going to speak nicely on their ex?
Yeah, not too many. All mine are writing references.
Right. They've each given us a 5-star review on our podcast.
My ex is me giving me 5-star reviews. If you're into drama. Oh my God, what was
the
I
marriage
saying?
the exes.
He says, she's saying, this money's mine, these kids are mine, you're worthless, you're nothing. And they're in the car, and she's just antagonizing him, which I do know narcissists do this. And then starts recording after she's all done, and then he's going off.
Yes.
And apparently he like grips the steering wheel, and he said, "Shut up, or I'm going to kill you."
Probably shouldn't say those things, Michael, even if you could think them, but you can't say them.
Unless I've thrown your phone in the river, I'm not saying that.
Yes. Unless I'm on my deathbed, I'm not saying that.
So she takes that to the Canadian police, and, bada bada bing, it's over. He comes back he's in Indiana now.
Okay.
Years go by, and he doesn't see any of his sons, any of his kids.
Okay.
Jacob does live with him now, which Jacob was the one with Asperger's. And, just watch. I don't want to be offensive or anything, but I feel like he said this, so I feel like I can say this as well. There's been some regression for him. He just seems real traumatized. He lives in his dad's basement. I mean, he's a genius. He has so much more potential, and I hope that he realizes that and kind of turns that around. And I say that he has trauma, Katie, to lead into telling you that Christine would tell the boys, her sons, to do different things to Natalia. Things like pee on her bed.
What?
Pick her up and drop her.
Are you kidding?
No. There's one scene in this documentary where they're interviewing Jacob, and he's like, I'm done for now. And then he walks up the stairs, and him and his dad meet at the top of the stairs. And they're talking, and they think it's private, but he still has his mic on. And it gets brought up that he had pushed her or kicked her down the stairs.
Oh my God.
But he's not going to talk about that because there could be legal implications. And his dad said, no, you were a child. There's not going to be any legal implications. And then they realized the mic is still on.
He realized it before he said that?
I mean, after.
Oh.
So you can't convince me that there wasn't truly abuse. This isn't, as a mother, like, why would you tell your children to hurt another child or another person?
Right.
So there's abuse. That's abuse.
Right. I mean, that's at least emotional or psychological abuse against your boys.
Yeah.
This woman.
I don't understand why she's not been arrested.
Right.
I don't understand it. So, shortly after being left alone in the Lafayette apartment, which let me just talk about this Lafayette apartment a little bit more. I've already gone off on how inconvenient it was for a disabled person.
Yes, you did.
And I was going to go by it today and take a picture, but I couldn't refine the address for some reason. But I know the area that it's in from the HBO special. And as I describe it, you're going to know too. Do you know where the Lafayette Adult Resource Academy is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, down in that area, I wouldn't walk it alone at night. I just wouldn't.
No.
It's very near the halfway house. It's very near the homeless shelter. It's just, in the rougher part of town. Yeah. I'm not saying that if you live there, you're rougher or anything, but no.
I mean, every town.
I wouldn't want my granddaughter walking those streets at night by herself.
I think
she's
every
vulnerable.
town has a part of town that's like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would agree with the area that you're talking about. There's just certain things you take more precautions on than in other parts of the town.
Yeah.
And I would agree that is one that you should take more precautions on than others. And you could walk out there maybe 6 nights out of 7 and nothing bad happened, but it takes one time.
Right.
That's it.
Just the wrong person.
Mhm.
Just, yeah, it's not the best part of town.
Not the vibe.
So shortly after she does move into the apartment, she meets Antoine and Cynthia Mans of Lafayette. And if I was going to say one sentence to describe the Mans, I would tell you they love Jesus.
Okay.
They love Jesus.
Really?
And they're very big-hearted.
Okay.
They have several children. I don't know how many. I didn't research them that much. But they have several children already. And they meet Natalia, and they just fall in love with her. And, you know, she's kind of sharing her story with them. And, of course, they're like,
what?
They invite her to live with them.
Okay.
They move her out of her apartment, and they help her a ton. They teach her right from wrong.
Really?
They teach her about stranger danger.
Yeah.
They teach her about manners. And they teach her about the Lord.
I have a question that I don't know if you have the answer to. Because you said, I thought you might be circling back here, and then you didn't. So they moved her to Lafayette. Then they got a divorce. Why didn't he come back for her? You know what I mean?
Why didn't he?
If he's like, Christine's bad, Christine's bad, Christine's bad, where were you?
Right.
I mean, once you're split, you're already saying, I didn't get to see my boys, and I'm now separated from my wife. Who do you have?
Right.
When you know there is a little girl here waiting for you.
Yes. That's what's so gross about him. The entire interview, he blames Christine for everything. But you know what, sir? I have no respect for anybody that can't stand up and protect somebody weaker than them, man or woman. You said, we're both a victim of the same monster. You are a man, and Natalia is a 3-foot-tall child.
Right.
Come on.
Even if she was an adult, her disabilities make her at a lower vantage point than Christine or you.
Yeah. Yes. So, but when he came back, he didn't. He didn't
ever say I was.
Come up here and live for.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about him later. But so Natalia moves in with the Mans, and she's also going to the Lafayette Adult Resource Academy to get her GED. You know, continue learning. She's pulled out of school in the 1st grade.
Right.
And there, she tells one of the instructors, one of the teachers, kind of her story. And for the first time, somebody calls the cops.
Yeah, it's surprising to me that the Mans didn't call the cops, but they took her in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They might have contacted DCS or something. I mean, they were pretty active. They were definitely trying to help her, and it might have been maybe she told Lara first, and then so it's all very close together.
Okay.
So the police finally get involved, and then this is when
about time
we finally see on the news. Oh, it's like the movie Orphan.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Adult Ukrainian woman tries to murder Indiana family. And when we were first exposed to this, everybody's like, huh?
Right.
You don't know who to believe. And it's very sad, but you almost always believe the adults.
Right.
The people with money. You assume that they're educated, and you assume that they're doing the right things. The whole time Christine is plotting against this child, getting her re-aged, moving her out of her home, beating her.
And wow. The fact that, like, just imagine if they would have adopted another little girl.
Oh my gosh.
Would they have, like, in place of Natalia, would she have suffered the same abuse until she was an adult? Or would Christine have loved her and accepted, you know what I mean? Like, what made it?
I know. One theory is that Christine wanted a special needs child for her little God complex that she has going on to be the hero. She'd made a lot of money off of Jacob.
It's already got. That makes sense.
And so she's going to do it again with Natalia. She's going to teach her to be a genius, and she's going to write a book about her magic powers that she's using to educate these kids that everybody else thought couldn't do it. And when it wasn't working out, because Natalia's just a normal kid,
right,
that ticked her off. Yeah.
I can't wait to read these Facebook posts that she's posting.
Yes. Let's see if I've forgotten anything. Okay. So, meanwhile, all this is coming about. Michael has his day in court because they're not allowed to acknowledge the fact that she's a proven child. He's found not guilty. And he, during the interview, is like so proud of that. I've already been found not guilty in a court of law. In the meantime, while in a second interview, one of the jurors is like, I wish we would have had all the facts.
Right.
You know, we didn't realize, but we just felt like the prosecutor didn't make the case. And so we had to find him not guilty.
Why was I'm very fuzzy on, I remember seeing it in the news, but I don't really remember the details. Was Christine not initially charged with Michael? I thought I remembered seeing her.
Yeah, I don't know. We need to dig into that a little bit more. It wasn't clear in the documentary why. I do think that they ended up separating it because I think they're going to go after her.
You think so?
I think so. I do think so. So, in the second season, it's mostly Natalia kind of retelling the story and in much more detail. Like I said, I definitely recommend watching it. She has a couple sit-downs with Michael.
Oh.
And it was... I'll just tell you about the first one.
Okay.
And I'll try not to be too obvious with my opinions. But so Michael's already sitting in there waiting. The camera crew is set up. And Michael has this documentary is so great because this cast of characters is, I mean, it's like.
It's so crazy because, you know, sometimes you'll start telling a story and then you'll like start laughing, or one detail will just be a little bit much. And I'm like, no, that's it. I don't believe you. But when you say the cast of characters, like maybe 6 episodes ago, I'd have been like, okay, they were probably pretty interesting. But then you said that about the Beals of Grey Gardens.
Yes.
And I went and watched it and I was like, geez, Amy, spot on. So now what you're saying about Michael being so eccentric and dramatic, he's got to be, because clearly I know you're not lying.
No,
so it makes me just kind of want to watch it.
But if you think he's a character, his attorney is even more of a character. This man will not let it go. And he's like right off of a TV show or something. He's like, that was an adult. She's a menace. Every family she's ever been with. Michael, don't say this. Don't say that. I mean, you just gotta.
On the documentary?
Girl, yes.
Oh my, okay.
Okay, so then Natalia's new dad, Antoine Mance, he's got a real big personality too. And I mean, I love him. He's, from what I've seen, it's like he really truly loved Natalia. She really leans on him, like physically and emotionally.
Okay.
They're very huggy and kind to each other, and he seems to like give her the love and direction that she needs. But okay, I'm painting a picture for you.
Yes.
Michael is sitting in the room waiting for them to come in for the interview. The door opens, but they don't come in. Natalia and her new dad, Antoine, don't come in. Why didn't you guys do this in the car? I'm just curious. But instead they pray right there in the doorway. And to me personally, it seemed very aggressive. Like, I don't want to paraphrase it, okay, but it was just like,
oh, they were praying out loud
together. Yeah, he was praying out loud together about, you're going to go in there and get the truth. That devil is a liar. You deserve justice.
Okay.
That is the prayer. And it's kind of almost like setting the stage, like amping her up for conflict. And I just felt like it could have been approached more peacefully. Not that he deserved that by any means, but I definitely had weird feelings about it.
Sure, even before they opened the door.
Pray at home, Michael. Not that there's any shame in praying.
Right, no.
It was just the type seemed so rough.
Yeah.
To me.
I hear this correctly that he's a pastor?
I think a bishop, is that?
Okay,
Is that a
so
pastor?
he's a figure in the church,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, I thought I heard that, but I wasn't sure if I just made that up in my mind.
No,
So.
again, nothing but good things to say about him. And maybe the producers asked him to do it that way.
I mean, they'll do a lot of things for TV,
yeah,
so.
but it just seemed like
Wrong
it was
time.
amping stuff up in a direction that wasn't going to be healthy.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's what I think. And I don't know nothing about nothing.
She seems to know a lot about the case.
Oh, I guess I do. I guess I know about it. So, but then Michael, during the interview, has me so annoyed I wanted to jump through the screen. Because Natalia comes in, sits down, and she is presenting so calm and thoughtful. And she's like, why are we here, Michael? And then his smart ass says, philosophically, why are we here?
Oh my God.
Bro,
read the room.
Don't start with me.
What? Okay.
But that's just the type of drama.
I haven't even seen this guy yet, and I'm annoyed.
Yeah. And then he said something like, maybe that's one hell of a question or something like that. And Natalia said, please don't use bad language. And then a couple sentences later, I think he says another hell again or something. New dad's off camera, very angry about that. And then those two get into it. And then his attorney comes around and they get into it. And then Michael leaves and gets in his sports car and leaves. And then Natalia's just sitting there crying.
That is so frustrating for Natalia.
Yes.
And very sad for her, because I imagine that is a time for the two of them to air things out.
Yeah,
to
that
get
was
on
the point.
Right. But for 1 second or for 10 seconds, put yourself in the shoes of an HBO producer.
Oh, it was gold.
Because I would have been like, oh, are you getting this? Are you getting this?
I mean, you see me. I'm like, and then.
He's like, I think they're going at it. Get your camera. Like, that would be intense.
Yeah.
But why? I mean, I think it's just probably the type of person that Michael is to not, like, nobody's going to put me in a box type of deal, to where he couldn't just be respectful enough for 30 minutes to not say something like hell, or like just to be in the moment, to talk to Natalia, not to be like joking about it.
I don't even think it was joking. It was more like sarcasm.
Yeah.
It was like, gross.
Oh.
But that seems to be his communication style. And Katie, I hate his communication style. You've got to watch, and you're going to be like, that's what Amy hates about it. That's what Amy hates about it. It's just like, don't be a dick.
Right.
Like you said, read the room.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so anyway, they were able to come together again.
Oh, good.
A few months later. And this time, attorney and dad were not allowed to come.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say it went perfect. Michael was still like, I told you I'm not going to talk about that type of thing. When Natalia really wants to understand, why did you have me re-aged?
Yeah.
That has like caused me some problems. But he wouldn't really answer that. But I will say, at the end, they were, Natalia prayed for him, and she offered her forgiveness.
Okay.
So there was some closure there.
Yeah. That's good.
Yes. So then it kind of cuts to Natalia with her new family, Cynthia and Antoine. And again, I've talked about how they've loved her and taught her and cared for her.
Right.
Embraced her in their home, in their lives, in their church. And they seem to be like one big happy family. There's a scene where they go before the judge here in Tippecanoe County.
Okay.
And she gets legally adopted.
Okay.
Now that's her mom and dad.
Yeah.
Now she's going to live happily ever after in a peaceful and smooth, loving home. The end.
For some reason I don't believe you.
No.
And I am like, okay, just let's let the viewers just sit there and think about it for a second. And I'll say, I told you already, I talked about this with my mom just a little bit. And I said, don't tell me any big details because I'm saving it for the podcast. Like, I don't want to talk my whole conversation. I'm saving it for the episode. And she said, okay, if Amy's going to tell the story, you better make sure she gets to the very end. She said, there's something important that she has got to see. Yeah. And I said, okay. And now, before I wasn't really sure, like, well, what could it be? Like, what could be bigger than a girl pretending to be a child, but she's actually an adult? Then she gets adopted. She tries to kill her whole family, but that's not actually true. She was a child.
And she was being abused.
Then they abandoned her. What could we possibly be missing? So please, I know it wasn't. There's got to be something. Maybe it is happy. I don't know what.
It's the last 2 minutes of this HBO documentary. Natalia speaks, and it's a voicemail from the man's 6 months later. Okay, from this filming. We're done with her.
Stop.
We tried. She's incapable of caring about anybody but herself.
No.
Out of the house. A third family.
Amy, what's going on?
What is going on?
Amy, what is going on? Okay, hang on. So that was it. That was pretty much it.
That's it.
And then it was over.
It was over.
So I already told you this, but yesterday again, when my mom and I were talking, she formed an opinion.
Okay.
And I tried not to form an opinion because I wanted to hear about the special first. Mm-hmm. And her opinion was, that is an adult.
What?
The whole time you have said, that is a child. There is no way that is a child. What makes you, like, I know you said the x-rays are, like, you talked me through all that, but what is, like, your final thing that says there is no way that is an adult, that has always been a child?
When I saw her baby molars still in her mouth. There are adults that retain baby teeth well into adulthood if they don't have an adult tooth underneath. But she had adult teeth underneath.
Okay.
So there's that.
Okay.
The fact that they have DNA tested and found her biological mother. She did not have her at 10 years old. Her whole family says that. She has an identical twin sister.
Her
birth mom.
Oh, her birth mom. Okay.
I was like,
there was more!
I wouldn't have forgot a twin.
What?
Her mom has an identical twin sister. I mean, so they've talked to her. They talked to the mom, other members of the family. She wasn't even Natalia's first child.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's no way. So we know she had to have at least been 15, 16 years old, which would have still made her a child.
Right, yes.
That, and then the blood test, and then the ancestral, whatever they did.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I saw that they did some type of test. I'm not sure what.
So the baby teeth, the birth mom, and the test, the genetic testing.
So what does the voicemail give you then? Because I'm on board with all of those things, and I mean the teeth make sense. The genetic testing, I mean, how do you fake that, or how do you make that wrong? And the mom, that all makes sense to me. But then the voicemail, I'm like, okay, hold up, a third family? What?
The only thing I don't know. Well, there's going to be a next season, so we'll find out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope.
There has to be now. The only thing I can think is because they mentioned this in the HBO special, but then they didn't really, the Mans didn't really elaborate, is when they first took Natalia into their home, they had an infant.
Okay.
Who's now like a 10-year-old, I think. And they interviewed this child. And she said, when I was a baby, Natalia beat me. And then it was like, just dropped. And I'm like, hello, did anybody hear that child say? I mean, no, they did talk about it some. And Cynthia said, I didn't speak to the hospital. They wouldn't let me go back with Natalia when they had kind of taken her to the hospital. Mm-hmm. Antoine described it as like normal kid stuff, which kids do hit other kids, but I don't know. Or they kind of chalked it up to traumatized child stuff. You know,
Okay, that's kind of where I was
they've
thinking.
got to work through.
Yeah.
But they forgave and they worked through it. And like I said, you teach a 10-year-old how to act.
Right.
You know, so I don't know what's happened. I don't know. It would have to be huge because, like I said, they love the Lord. They're forgivers. So it had to have been terrible.
It has to be, because I'm just thinking, like you said, if they're lovers, like if they just are there, they poured everything into her. They know in their minds, this girl wasn't raised right. We need to do everything we can to teach her the right way. Right. Understanding that she's going to do some things that she learned from her previous family that wasn't right. So knowing that she is going to do some bad things, like if her big brothers were hitting on her, yeah, maybe she is going to be hitting on her new little siblings.
Yes, so, that's what she knows.
So I would think they would understand and work through that, but there's got to be something so significant. And then it just cut. You don't know
That's cut.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. And I think they all moved out of state, so they don't still live here.
I wondered that too, if they were still in the area.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they all moved out of state. So I'm going to be following this like it's my job.
Wow, I was not expecting some of those details. You had all the answers to my questions. That was amazing. We told 2 really good stories this week.
Yeah, that was, whew.
Wow. Okay.
Hot topics, baby.
Oh, man. Well, I think that's been another episode of What's the Vibe with Katie and Amy. Please share, comment, follow, give us a rating. You know that we're trying to get our views doubled for 2024 versus what they were last year. So please help us and do everything you can. And I think that's the vibe.